We grow enough veggies and berries in our garden to feed our family of 6 for an entire year on only 1/8 of an acre of growing space. We have cows and chickens on other parts of our 5.5 acre homestead, but our actual garden could fit into most people's backyards. To make all of this doable with the amount of space that we have and also with all the responsibilities that come with a family of 6, we have to keep things really simple. And today we're gonna show you guys one of the main crops that makes all of this possible for us. We've already harvested a year's worth of onions from here and 120 pounds of carrots from here. A huge pile of dried beans from this space. And we harvested 200 pounds of potatoes from this space. We're gonna be planting a cover crop over this area later on in the video, and we'll explain the importance of that later, but for now we're gonna dig sweet potatoes.
Digging sweet potatoes is a pretty big job. We got a late start today and we have somewhere to be this evening, so we really need to get to work. It isn't as big of a job though as it used to be since we started planting sweet potatoes in raised beds. That has made a huge difference in how much digging it takes. Before, when they were in the ground, it just felt like I had to dig up the entire garden to find all the sweet potatoes. This keeps them way more contained. And we also grow varieties that are bush varieties. So the sweet potatoes grow right under the base of the plant instead of spreading out quite as much. And I will pop those on the screen, which varieties those actually are.
I came out here earlier this morning and dug up a plant just to make sure that the potatoes were ready to actually dig. And these are looking amazing. This is like the perfect size. Actually, maybe this is more the perfect size. But the thing that's exciting to me is that they have 0 fungus on them. Since we dug the white potatoes a couple weeks ago, I have been kind of dreading digging these sweet potatoes. Our white potatoes did not do well this year for like the first time in quite a few years.
Are there any potatoes?
And so it can be a little bit scary digging up your next staple crop. But if they all do this well, I'll be pleased. Our sweet potatoes have been doing much, much better with fungus since we started planting them in raised beds. Probably multiple things come into play, but sweet potatoes do not like to have wet feet. And so raised beds drain super well. I highly recommend planting sweet potatoes in raised beds. And if you do the bush varieties, it doesn't matter if these arms come out, like the vines come out over the side, it's totally fine because they're not going to be taking root and making sweet potatoes. All the sweet potatoes in bush varieties happen right here at the base, so that makes them perfect for raised beds. Every year I plant about 40 sweet potato slips, and that covers our family very well for the winter. It came out absolutely spot on perfect for last year, and hopefully this year we'll get a few more because our kids are eating more. I just get my sweet potato slips at our local greenhouse. I have had trouble finding those in the past. Not all greenhouses have them. I also have gotten them through Berlin Seed Company, and you can get them on Etsy and places like that. This year I'm going to try again to propagate my own sweet potato slips. Last year I tried and failed, but maybe this year will be my lucky year. Whenever I talk about our 5 staple crops that we grow massive amounts of, people online and in real life ask me, don't you get so sick of eating those 5 foods? First of all, our staple crops are white potatoes, sweet potatoes, onions, carrots, and butternut squash. And my answer is always no. These crops are so versatile. A white potato can be made in so many different ways. I can make a white potato into mashed potatoes, French fries, hash browns, all sorts of soups, or a baked potato, just to name a few. So many meals depend on potatoes: chicken pot pie, zuppa toscana, beef stew, shepherd's pie. We're not just eating a plain baked potato at every meal. Sweet potatoes aren't quite as versatile, but they can still be used in so many creative ways other than just plain with butter and salt. I love to roast them with thyme and maple syrup or cut them into wedges for fries, and they can even be made into muffins. A few years back, I was in a cooking funk in the wintertime, and I just decided to let myself go to the grocery store and choose whatever produce I could find that looked tasty and fun. I walked around for quite a while and realized that the main veggies I was missing in my kitchen were things like a fresh cucumber or a pepper or a head of romaine. And when it came down to it, those veggies just aren't very filling, yet they were very expensive, which is why potatoes are the base of so many meals in my opinion. I also keep rice and pasta on hand in our bulk food storage in the basement for nights where I need a super fast meal or times where we just feel like eating something other than root veggies. I have zero issue with people buying and enjoying a wider variety of foods from the grocery store. It's just part of modern life and there's no shame in it. But I do think it's important to pause and remember that not so long ago, a fresh cucumber, a ripe tomato, or a blueberry in the middle of winter was unheard of. Having access to those foods year-round only became possible once we started shipping produce long distances to stock our grocery store shelves. Seasonal eating is something that's largely been lost in our society, and because our food is being trucked in from long distances, we now have the issue of our food being sprayed with sprout inhibitors and chemical coatings just to keep it from rotting or sprouting before it gets to us. Having a limited variety of foods doesn't feel like a trial to me at all, because I know exactly how my food was grown and I know that it's nourishing my family. I honestly think these are the nicest sweet potatoes that we have ever grown. I could not be more pleased. They have like no blemishes on them. Absolutely zero fungus. They are just perfect, and I can't even tell you the medicine that this is for my soul. After the white potatoes, I didn't have much hope for these, and I was really discouraged because we got half the white potatoes that we needed. This year, we are making up for the white potatoes in sweet potatoes.
Ooh, that's a bunch of them.
Wow.
Oh, I did break one.
Just check this out.
And there's another one.
Like under one plant. Last year, we tried out quite a few different varieties of sweet potatoes. And this year I was like, nope, I am just sticking with Covington and Vardaman, but mostly Covingtons, as these are the ones that we love the most. Same next year. This was absolutely perfect. I am just piling these sweet potato tops up here back onto the soil. This soil is really dry and it kind of took a beating this year. So I'm just stacking all these potato tops on here. We don't plan to compost, Cody. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. We're not going to compost these beds this fall. And so I'm just going to throw these on top to protect the soil, to hold moisture in since it's so dry.
I'm so excited to get these up to the house and weigh them and see how many pounds of sweet potatoes we got. I'm pretty sure this is more sweet potatoes than we've ever gotten. But it is lunchtime. Actually, after lunchtime, we are all really hungry. Tears has been making lunch and Michelle's gonna go in and finish getting it ready. And while she's doing that, I need to run out and do something else that I'll show you in just a second. And then after lunch, we'll weigh these and get them down to the basement to start curing, and we'll explain that process. When the old one's gone under the knife, and I can feel the sun on my skin. Marcos! Here they come. Hey cows, here's a treat. Hey Outlaw, Poppy and Junie, and here comes Waffles. Come on, buddy. I decided to start throwing the cows some hay. There's just barely any grass back here, and I want to make sure they've got plenty to eat. This grain here is just a little treat for them to get them to come when I call. They really enjoy it and keeps them a little more friendly. It is a real bummer to have to start already feeding hay. It's like the middle of September. I have gotten away before with not feeding hay until like the middle of October. There's just been like no rain for a long time. I have to bring water back here every day with this wagon and buckets because I don't have a hydrant back here. It's a little bit annoying, but it's not too bad. And the way I have these paddocks set up back here for their rotational grazing is I have this front part here, like a common area that they can get to no matter what paddock they're in. So I have the full pasture divided into 3 sections attached to this common area. So I just have the gate open for them to go into one of the paddocks and they can just get to this water thing from wherever they are. So it's not like I have to take it to different places or way out into the pasture or anything like that. So even though I have to bring buckets back here, it's still pretty simple. And also, while we're on our lunch break, I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Birch Living. You know by the things that we do on our homestead that we really care about getting chemicals and toxins out of our lives wherever it's possible. We grow our own food, chemical free, we make our own soaps, we try to find non-toxic products for whatever we can't make ourselves, and we spend a third of our lives sleeping in our beds. So obviously that's a very important place to have a non-toxic environment. Most mattresses are made with things like fiberglass and polyurethane foams, things that can cause harmful off-gassing while you're sleeping. Birch mattresses are made with natural products like organic cotton, organic latex, and natural wool. They are GreenGuard Gold certified and 100% fiberglass free. Michelle and I have had the Birch Luxe natural mattress for almost 2 years now, and we absolutely love it. It's the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in, and we love the peace of mind that comes with it. We started sleeping better the very first night we had it, and Michelle says that if she could, she would put it in her suitcase to take it along on trips. And obviously, if it's important for us in our bedroom, it's also very important for our children. So we've started switching out our children's mattresses with a Birch mattress. Birch has a really cool two-sided kids mattress that has age-appropriate comfort for your kids as they grow. So if this back-to-school season has gotten you thinking more about your kids' health, their mattress is a really good place to start. And right now during Birch's Labor Day sale, you can use our code BirchPartner27 and get 27% off a mattress for yourself or your kids. And it's as easy as ordering it and getting it shipped right to your door. And if you're in the US, they'll ship it for free. It's really easy to set up too, but if you do need help with that, they do offer services for setup of your new mattress and removal of your old one. 198, 196.6, 200.4, 199, 196.2, 201.2, 1,768.
Are you sure?
Well, if you multiply that times 10. After doing the maths, we got 213 pounds of sweet potatoes, which is over 50 pounds more than we got last year. Super cool. So
exciting.
We did fail. Feels like we failed a little bit with the white potatoes this year, but I think we at least made up for a good amount of it with the sweet potatoes. That is super cool. So Michelle is gonna get these laid out in the basement now to cure, and she'll talk to you about that. I'm gonna go out to the garden and start tilling to get ready to plant our cover crop because we don't have a lot of time left before we need to get going this evening.
The secret to getting sweet potatoes to store really well in a cold room is to cure them. And just a big, huge disclaimer here, I don't actually cure my sweet potatoes properly. I never have. If you actually cure them the way you're supposed to, you need like an 80-degree room with 80% humidity. And we don't have any place in our house like that. Often people will they will find a room and then somehow create that climate in the room, but I have just never gone to that much trouble, and my sweet potatoes will store as well as a butternut squash if I just cure them this way. I just lay them out in a single layer for 2 weeks. You don't want to stack them, and then I put them in crates and call it good. I'm also picking out any that have a deep gouge like this. If they just have some scrapes and stuff like this on it, that's totally fine. That'll heal over perfectly fine. But a nice deep gouge like this, I just set them out and we use them first. They will last for like a month or so. I just like to use those first because once you put them in crates, it's not nice to have a rotten one in the bottom that gets rotten juice all over everything else. I'm not sure if my deep gratitude and emotion is coming through very well in this video, but I literally am just so relieved and so happy, and I feel so blessed with these sweet potatoes. It's been one of those gardening years that things are just a little weird. The tomatoes are coming in really slowly. Thankfully, they're starting to pick up speed again now that the weather's a little bit warmer. Overall, I just didn't feel like my garden did as well this year. And it can be pretty discouraging when you're not just hobby gardening, like you're gardening for a specific reason, like to feed your family. This harvest just lifted my spirits like crazy. A lot of people say that you should not eat sweet potatoes until after they're cured, but honestly, I'm sure we're not gonna wait to dip into these until they're completely cured. Basically, curing will convert some of the starches into sugar and just make the sweet potatoes sweeter, and it makes the flesh like smoother, just like a better texture overall, not quite as powdery, but they're still delicious like this. And one of the kids was like, oh man, I can't wait to have sweet potatoes again. Something that just really blew my mind today while we were harvesting these was the fact that I got over 200 pounds of food to feed my family for the year out of 4 raised beds. That's a really, in my opinion, a really, really good yield for the amount of space. 200 pounds of food goes pretty far in feeding people. One thing that I failed to mention is that once I sort these later on after they're cured, I'll set aside any small ones like this. These are super tasty, but they're not gonna store very long. So I throw these into a crate, and then I can throw those into like a pot roast or something like that. You don't even have to peel them. They just taste delicious. This is the crate of ones that Cody stabbed. So we'll have these for dinner the next couple evenings. Soil health makes everything in gardening easier. It makes so that you don't have to water as much. It makes so that there aren't as many weeds. It makes so that your food gets bigger, like your produce gets giant rather than just staying small. It takes care of pest pressure, fungal issues. So one thing that I do to prioritize my soil every single year is I take a soil test. I do this normally in the fall. I don't like totally nerd out when it comes to my soil. All that I do is I send in a sample from this garden and my front garden and a couple of my raised beds. Like, this soil is all just kind of the same. I take a little sample and I shake it up, put it in a plastic Ziploc bag and send it to Berlin Seeds, and they will analyze it for me. And they'll call me back and tell me exactly what amendments I need to put in my soil. Doing that saves me so much time. It saves me so much money because soil amendments actually are not that expensive, but fertilizer is. I do not use any fertilizer on my garden outside of compost, and the very, very rare occasion where I will use some fish emulsion or some liquid seaweed. I go through a very tiny, tiny amount of fertilizer. Fertilizer is very expensive, and if I was to use it on this amount of garden, I could not afford to garden. I like to do this before I compost my garden because I'm not wanting a soil test done on my compost. I want it on my actual raw soil. If you have like major problem areas in your garden, I would definitely recommend doing a separate soil test for that. Everything is so ridiculously dry, which is part of the reason why I'm wanting to get a cover crop on this and then just put the sprinkler on it for days, honestly. I've had quite a few people ask me how to do the Berlin Seed soil test. What I do is I just call in and say, hey, what do I do? They tell me exactly what to do, what to write on the bag. They'll tell you to send it in. They'll tell you what to write on the envelope. And then they will send you results, and they'll also call you. At least that's how they've done it for me. They'll recommend exactly what to put on and how much, like per square foot, and it's so easy. Last year it cost me $30. I don't know if the price for that has changed or not, but it's not expensive.
Healthy soil is the basis for a successful homestead. That's why we do rotational grazing in our pastures, to spread the manure around, not hurt the grass by overgrazing. And that's why we really try to take care of our soil in our garden. This might not look like the nicest soil right now. It's bare and it's dry, but the plain fact of it is just really dry. We have not gotten rain in a long time. And then it's bare because we just dug everything up. This was covered in beans. That over there was covered in potatoes, and the potatoes were mulch, so there was leaf mulch everywhere. And we just dug everything up, so everything is just looking extra dry, extra bare. But then that's why we're putting down this buckwheat cover crop. We're not gonna be putting compost down this fall. We like doing it in the fall rather than the spring. Over the winter with the freeze and thaw, it'll like break up chunks and it'll kind of work it into the soil a little bit. And if you do it in the spring, you gotta deal with sometimes wet compost and chunks and things like that. But as you may remember from some of our other videos, we are looking for another property possibly to move. And if we leave, we'd like to take our big compost pile with us instead of leaving it here. So we're not gonna be spreading compost this fall. If we would happen to not find a property before next year, then we'll spread the compost in the spring and we'll deal with it. But we're not neglecting our soil. We're using this cover crop, this buckwheat, as a green manure. This is, in a sense, a form of composting because we are adding organic matter back into the soil. When it grows and gets bigger, it's gonna be suppressing weeds and it's gonna be adding nutrients as well. I might be putting this on a little extra thick, but we've got plenty. So I would rather have it too thick than too thin. We're using buckwheat because it is a really fast growing cover crop. and it winter kills, which is kind of a big deal because if it doesn't winter kill, it can be really hard to take care of it in the spring. And another thing about buckwheat, if it does actually get to where it flowers, the pollinators love it. Disclaimer, we are a little late in the season for planting this, so I don't know if it'll get mature enough to where it actually goes to flower, but either way, it'll still be a good weed suppressor and it'll still be adding that organic matter into the soil.
The mantra that I always use for seedlings is the same with a cover crop. Always, always, always water in your cover crop. There has not been rain in Ohio since August, and there is no rain to speak of in the forecast in the next couple weeks. So this sprinkler is going to be doing overtime to keep this cover crop growing. Don't want it to get my tomatoes. If you'd like to see how we plant our sweet potatoes, you can check out this video right here. And if you'd like to see what we do with our sweet potatoes after they're harvested, check out this video right here. Oh my goodness!
I hate when that happens. Oh, there we go.
Ooh, I smell a rotten potato. Whoa, right here it is. Gross.